Yep.
Yeah, so again, thanks for hopping on and for doing this. I know you're off to France real soon. I'm sure it's gonna get real busy over there. Um, yeah, so who I think I want to start kind of with you in your Web3 story, and then we can kind of from there go into the namespace and like what you're
Yeah.
building with namespace. Yeah, so who is
Yeah.
Cap? Feel comfortable to dox as much as you feel comfortable, and
Okay.
then how did you get into Web3?
Yeah. Let me say this on the record as well because I said it when we were not live. Thank you for having me. Such a pleasure to be here, along with some other amazing names and guests that you've had. So excited to meet you, man. And yeah, thanks for the invite. Um, so I'm Cap, or people in crypto know me as Cap. I don't mind doxing myself as well. My name is Chris, and I'm the founder of Namespace. And my crypto journey began when I was like second year at college. I studied computer science in college, and a friend of mine came over and he was like, "There's this like new kind of cryptographic like thing. It's called blockchain. I don't know, like it's a decentralized database. Like let me set it up for you. Like you can participate in the network by mining, and you have like a good. I bought like a really nice desktop computer at the time. It was like, you have a nice computer. Let me set it up for you so you can mine and you can get like these bitcoins in return. And I was like, okay, man, like whatever, you know, let's see what that is all about. And then he set it up for me, and I remember I used to mine like 2 or 3 bitcoins per month, with like just leaving the computer to mine when I was sleeping. And bitcoins were worth like whatever, like $100 at the time, and I was like, this is just not worth my time, because anytime you turn on the computer and started to mine, like it just immediately occupies the entire like your CPU like capacity, or GPU capacity. And yeah, you couldn't just use your computer. And I was like, yeah, to hell with this. I don't want to. I don't want to do this. Like this is boring, and I'm not making any money, right? So yeah, my that is my first like crypto encounter. And like fast forward like a few years later, I think in 2018, during the ICO boom, people were like going crazy. Everyone was raising like millions of dollars, and that just sort of like attracted my attention. And I was like involved, sort of as a like a sales advisor or something like that with some projects. But I wasn't really too much into it. And then I met some of the cool people in Belgrade where I was living at the time, and then we started like working on some ideas. Nothing fancy, nothing crazy. Like there was, you have to remember, like there was like the idea of like Ethereum allowing you the ability to like have smart contracts was insane, right? So like at the time we couldn't even comprehend or foresee everything that would be built here right now. um so yeah, not a lot of crazy stuff, that we just built some minor ideas here and there. And then like I had a few like few years again off, not, I guess not off, but I was just like passively just like watching the industry. When I was in the US, I studied there for a while. And then I came back home, and in 2020 or 21, I don't remember, I just went all in. And I started investing. um, got into like every single crypto rabbit hole that there ever was. I was there at the end of it. So yeah, I got into just like, yeah, knee deep into everything, like all the like the dexes started coming out, and the DeFi summer, and all of that stuff. So I caught every single trend, every single innovation. I was reading about everything. I was just in love with everything. And then at one point, you know I remember I was reading something. It was like some high level math thing, white paper, whatever it was. And I just didn't understand shit, man, to be honest. And I was like, okay, this is getting out of hand. Like this industry is not like it used to be. I remember like reading about something, and I was like, okay, this is awesome. I immediately understand it, and I can just, whatever, like I can talk to someone about it, right? And I remember reading this white paper, and then the next one after the next one, things started getting even more complicated, and it just used to take me a lot of time, just to understand like basic concepts for these guys. And I was like, okay, I gotta focus my attention somewhere. And then like I was kind of deciding what do I want to do. And like just remember, throughout this entire process, I was doing a lot of research, a lot of like heavy investing, in projects early, and just like as I said, um, literally at the frontier for everything. And yeah, that's how I stumbled across, I guess, ENS. Fell in love with the protocol, got involved with the DAO, one of the like most amazing people there. And I feel like that's why people stay. At the end of the day, it's all about the people that you meet. And yeah, I guess I met my folks there, and yeah, decided to stay. And yeah, that's how we started. What was the question? To introduce myself, and then I
Yeah,
just
how you got into
talk.
Web3, which I think you nailed it, man. Uh,
Okay.
s- we
Um,
we have similar stories in that, like, I got started with
what was yours?
Bitcoin. Yeah, I got started with Bitcoin, just like for background for you. I think a lot of my listeners know this, but like I got started with Bitcoin in 2012. I was trying to buy some stuff online and you needed Bitcoin.
Sure.
uh, so it was my last year of college, and we were gonna have like a party and stuff like that. So yeah, that's how I kind of found out about it through that way. And then, like you said, like I used to be able to like Bitcoin made sense. Like the white paper made sense to me almost immediately. Like it all
Mm,
resonated with me. And a lot of the early white papers, like it was clear. But like nowadays, when I read some of the new like white papers of like I don't even
yeah.
know, like some of the Solana stuff that comes out, I'm like, I don't even know what the hell this is saying. Like,
Yeah.
um, the beauty of like nowadays though is that like I actually just upload it into Chat GPT and I'm like, I have a
Yep.
conversation with it to try and
Yep. Yep.
understand it. But we're definitely like, there's some giga brains out there that I'm just like,
Yeah.
man, there's some
There.
smart people working on crypto stuff.
I'm like I don't think I'm dumb, but like I cannot say that I haven't been in some conversation where I felt like when you talk to someone and everything they say just resonates and it makes sense, but after you're finished with the call, you're kind of like you try to repeat what the guy said and you're like, I have no idea, like I just want them to explain everything to you.
Yep.
Especially when we talk about the identity side of things. Like I've been part of some conversations where I'm listening to people talk about stuff that is just it's just crazy, that is just like I don't know, like their brain operates at that's like such a high level that I feel like you need just a lot of knowledge from every single aspect of crypto, just to understand and be part of that conversation. So yeah, it doesn't happen that often, but I've certainly been part of those conversations as well. Yeah.
Yeah, and
um
I think like the skill that I'm seeing too. So like I work with a lot of technical folks in real life. And like my role is to kind of translate business requirements to technical requirements for legal teams and vice versa. So like whenever like a new update's coming out for some software, I have to like kind of translate that into like the impact to our like business operations for like the legal
yeah.
team. So I kind of play that role a lot. And you start appreciating folks that are like all like super smart, but also can like
Yeah.
explain it to you like very well, because there's people that are like super smart, but they also kind of like struggle. They get
Yep.
frustrated, like they're like, oh, why isn't this clicking to you? And it's like, dude, you're just super smart, and I'm just like not following,
Yeah.
and then there's some people that they have that really good skill of like being able to bridge that gap to like almost any audience, and those people are even
Yeah.
scarier to me because I'm like, dude, on top of being super smart, like you're also able to articulate this in such a great way to
Yeah.
almost any audience.
I think that's really needed in our crypto industry,
Yeah,
and I think those people, uh, I think a DevRel who can do that is probably like the ideal candidate to have on your team, because they have the technical kind of know-how to like either do like an implementation or test out some project, but they also have sort of the, I don't even know how to explain in a few words, that ability to sort of translate all the technical stuff into something that translates into like a particular and a business use case, so to speak. Um, so yeah, if you're able to find someone like that, yeah, let me
yeah,
know. Like those folks are really hard to come by, and I think they are amazing CEOs, right?
yeah,
So if you have someone who's able to speak but is also very like technically sharp, like those guys are really good. And I've always sort of like, at least I kind of aspire to become someone like that because I have a technical background, but I also have like a business background as well. But yeah, it's definitely difficult.
Yeah. I think that's like what so from context for you, like, so last summer, so like in 2021 I never got involved with any DAOs just because that wasn't the space that like it seemed cool. Like it's definitely something like I was like, oh, DAOs are cool, like I think they should exist. I'm glad that we're doing that. But it just wasn't like the thing that was like I wasn't itching to go explore DAOs as much. I think as an operations person, I was kind of like I saw some issues with them, kind of the
Yeah,
way they were being deployed. So I was like, I just don't want to get involved with that. But like last year, like in the summer, I was like, hey, like I've never really given DAOs a fair shot. Let me actually go join a DAO and like try and participate and do the whole DAO experience before saying, hey, DAOs don't work or they suck or whatever. Especially like
yeah,
now, like you're seeing, like this week is like a really good week. A lot of people are like DAOs are dead, or I
yeah.
mean, I even wrote an article about how like we were gonna see that this week because of ApeCoin and the Jupiter DAO situation.
Oh yeah, yeah,
Um,
yeah. I remember reading something about that. They're shutting down the Apicon DAO, right?
yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah,
So I was like, I bet everyone's gonna. This week's the week that everyone's like DAOs are dead and whatever. So like a year ago, I was like, let me actually just get my hands dirty and get in there. Um, and I guess to bring it back to what you like, kind of what you're saying. I also like, so I got into Nouns DAO, which is really great, and then I'm still exploring other bigger like other DAOs, and like ENS DAO was like one that stood out to me because it's like one of those tools where it's like it's technical enough, like you can make it as complex as you need it to be, but also it's also very like user interface, user experience centered, so like
yeah,
I found that like really satisfying in terms of like I was like, okay, like so there's enough technical stuff happening here that like it's like good for my brain and for my curiosity, but it's also like real life impact where like deploying that with like Venmo or PayPal is like that's very
yeah,
like anyone can like tangibly understand that, like if you literally have those apps and you're like nobody wants to type 0x blah 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 blah, like someone just wants to type gramajo.e and that's
yeah,
it, like send it, like so like almost like everyone can kind of like rally behind this idea of so all the nerds are like subcontracts and like smart contracts and sub names and like they can all get
yeah,
like their itch from a technical perspective, but even like the end user, the consumer can also get the itch from like, hey, I never have to worry about um these raw
yeah,
addresses being in my face.
yeah.
Is that why you chose ENS DAO? Is that you think like what led you to ENS DAO?
Well, I could say that. That sounds beautiful. I could just say like, oh yes, I saw this entire potential. But like when I joined 3 years ago, it was just like a domain name service like system, and it had a few pivotal moments, like with the launch of Name Wrapper that enabled sort of the creation of subnames and unruggable subnames, which kind of open up a whole bunch of different possibilities. And then with CCIP read protocol and the standard where you could essentially store these subnames in these different like environments, so to speak. Like you can mint them on L2s, like on Base or on Optimism or wherever else, or you can just like store them off chain. And we sort of like this is, by the way, the entire kind of focus of namespace to streamline this entire operation and make it as easy as possible and to distill it to like a very simple actionable kind of like use cases where you just like how we want to use them and you can find it in our SDK in our app, right? But yeah, that's not how it started, right? I think ENS just started as a simple domain name service, and they said like, okay, we want to have human readable names for essentially every single blockchain digital resource, and we can just name it like whatever that may be. And it like naturally, I think, it just like found its way to like wallet addresses, because that is like just very kind of face on value. Like instead of a wallet address, you see a username essentially, and that's the biggest sort of like I think the biggest pivotal moment was when everyone sort of in ENS, including us, and everyone realized that ENS, next to being this domain protocol, is also an identity protocol, and
Yeah.
it's the sort of the how can I say this? Like it's one of the pillars of on top of which the entire on-chain identity is built. And it's the central kind of like core component of the identity, right? Because you cannot have identity without a name. Maybe like that's not really true. You can have like a kind of contextual identity, like before you give it a name, but like in broader terms, like you cannot have identity for something without actually naming it. And this is like very true for wallets, for I mean for anyone who wants to integrate a naming service. So yeah, that's pretty cool. But ENS is just like so much more, man. Like I can talk about ENS for hours. And right now, like when it started, like as I said, it started as a simple kind of like, let's call it a mapping tool. But right now it sort of extends the DNS. It's used as a username service. People use it to name wallets. People use it to name contracts. There's a cool initiative for like contract naming services right now. Fluid Key uses the dynamic like wallet generation to like to show like to the f key.eth subname like each time you transact. So it can be used as a privacy preserving tool. It can be used like as a decentralized, censorship resistant, permissionless domain name service, like to resolve websites that are hopefully stored in a again decentralized database or something. So it can be used, like it extends DNS as well, so you can tokenize any domain that you own and essentially make that domain into a fully functional ENS name, inheriting all of the ENS names like properties and functionality and stuff like that. So, and right now, like there's even an open sort of initiative and soon to be a proposal for tokenizing top level domains. So it will essentially allow all of the top level domains like .com, .whatever to be tokenized and issue domains as tokens as well through the ENS protocol, and essentially leverage the entire network of partners that ENS has built over the last like 8 years of existence. So there's a lot of initiatives with ENS, but yeah.
No, that's just exciting. I think that's what like as I was like exploring DAOs to get involved with, ENS kind of just resonated with me very quickly, and I was like, all right, like I bought some ENS token and I'm trying to just navigate my way on how to get involved. And also like that's part of like why I reached out to you. It was like I was like, hey, like I'm not gonna build an app. I have an idea for an app now that I'm like thinking about it more and more. But I was like, I'm just gonna do what I do now, which is just talk to people and get the message out there on what they're building. And that's my contribution to the ENS ecosystem is, through content essentially.
If you want to slowly get involved, like obviously I think you created the username on the forum, and the forum is the best place to do so. Just enable those notifications for the stuff that you're interested in. And I would also suggest like subscribing to the newsletter that goes like once or twice a month. Like I think it's bi-weekly, so yeah, twice a month. And it's run by Marcus, who's a great guy and a contributor at ENS. And he does like a very like detailed job of just capturing everything that happens inside of the ENS and sort of the outside in the broader ecosystem. So like with each time you read it, I think you can get like a clearer picture into how people are using it, what's happening on the DAO side, what's happening on the protocol level side, what's happening with the stewards and the working groups, and you can just get like a full picture of like the recent events and developments.
Yeah, that newsletter is like super good. I subscribe to it.
You subscribed it? Okay.
Yeah, I subscribe to it, and I've read a couple, and it's super detailed and really good. Like I was kind of quite shocked, like how much information is in there. Definitely, yeah. It's a good one for sure.
Yeah. Shout out to Marcus who runs that.
Yeah, no, seriously. Like, if you want, if you want feedback or Yelp star reviews, like, let me know. Like, I'll leave them. Like, that was a good newsletter. Like, I've read the last like 3, and I very quickly I was like, whoa, wow, I can see like just like the amount of quality and work that goes into that thing.
Yep.
Let's see. So what kind of like, what led you to going all in on ENS to the point of like also creating a company called Namespace, and like what was that like?
Yeah. So I remember like we were just me and my friend were discussing about like some ideas, what do we want to do, what do we want to build. Like after the realization that we cannot keep up with everything right now, and how everything became like super difficult. And we were thinking like, what should we do? And then at that time, like people were started to talk about like the name wrapper and name wrapper upgrades. Name wrapper, not name wrapper. Well, yeah, name wrapper contract is the ENS contract that was launched, that would essentially enable subnames to be unruggable. And in my mind, I was like, okay, so like if I register some really cool ENS name like gamer.it, I can start my own naming service off of gamer.it, and I can